man, what's up?
Hey, I know it's Christmas and stuff, but I got this video I should be doing. Can you just finish it for me while I go see my family?
What? I'm busy too, man. I can't just...
Thank you, man. I know you say yes.
No.
See you later, man. Bye.
Hey guys, guess what? I'm not dead. I'm just lazy as fuck. But moving on, today I wanted to talk a bit about a piece of media that I really enjoy. The Mandela Catalogue. The Mandela Catalogue is an analog or a show? I don't really know if they call them shows, but it's an analog horror thing created by Kister. I hope I said that right. And oh boy, there's a lot to unpack here. So now we're gonna do what I call Sill's half-assed explanation of Mandela Catalogue because I'm too dumb to remember or even understand what's going on. So anyway, we start off with the first video called Overthrown. Overthrown is basically an explanation of the threat we're going to be seeing the whole show. Yeah, I'ma just keep calling it a show. Overthrown is basically just a video to teach kids about Jesus Christ with a religious cartoon, but yeah, no, fuck that, the devil is here and it's pretending to be an angel. Basically, he's trying to trick everyone into thinking that he's their savior. He also, for some reason, talks a bunch of binary to Virgin Mary, which can then be translated to I am the one true savior, I must reverse the delusion, Joseph is next. And to this day I have no fucking idea what this means. But fast forward a bit, the devil tricks the shepherds, as he says with his fucking C-3PO ass voice,
"Do not be afraid, my dear shepherds,"
and basically overthrows God. So yeah, the devil is God in Mandela Catalogue. That's always good to know. So anyway, we're moving on to the second video. We have the Mandela Catalogue Volume 1. This video is set in the 90s. In this video we get a call between Mark and Caesar, which has been memed to death by the internet, and in it Caesar tells Mark to come do some shit at his house while he goes to see his mom in the hospital. Mark doesn't really want to go to an empty house all alone in the middle of the night, but fuck it, he does it anyways. So long story short, Caesar was an alternate, at least that's what I got from this shot, and chases Mark into his home where Mark hides in his room with the alternate in the other side, saying for him to open the door. Mark doesn't open the door for a couple of days until he decides to give up. He opens it, and instead of shooting it, he just shoots himself. Anyways, we then see Mark as a kid, and we see that he saw an intruder at his home, which is this happy looking fella. And don't worry, because we'll be seeing a lot of him. Anyways, moving on to the third video, which is called Intruder Alert. We learn from this video that the intruder can manifest in televisions, and we see that after a mother found her son missing with the alternate in the TV, she leaves Earth. We will eventually go back to this, but just keep this in mind for now. So apparently a lot of kids died / went missing because of this alternate TV shenanigan. We also learned that the intruder is not actually an alternate somehow, or at least he's not a normal alternate. We then see that Lieutenant Thatcher went to the crime scene, and then after he left, he didn't want this whole thing to be known publicly. Again, keep this in mind because it will be important later. We move on to video number 4, Metaphysical Awareness Disorder. Yeah, this video doesn't really have a ton of information that is of note, at least I hope not because I didn't see any. But basically there's this thing called MAD, which is an acronym for the title of the video. And basically, this disorder makes you hear stuff you don't want to hear from the alternates or the intruder. I don't really know, but basically it makes you wanna die. They also say that people with this disorder should avoid all religious mumbo jumbo. Video number 5 is called Exhibition, and in it we see the investigation of Mark, which is that dude from earlier, which of course is being investigated by Thatcher. In this video we see the footage Mark had in his camcorder. The footage shows Mark going to a church he went when he was a kid. We then see Mark being stuck in his room with the alternate on the other side again. And then we see the TV turn on with our favorite hooded devil fucker. After we see this footage, we get the text, "Footage implies Mark has been paranoid for some time." We then cut to the religious cartoon from earlier, and the devil sneaks behind Noah asking him why he's so scared of him, and that he will be punished for resisting his message. He says that Noah will bring another creature on the boat, and says to wait until something starts to change in his mind. He says that he will give him his last message. And then we get a verse from the Bible that reads 2 Corinthians 11:14, and no wonder, for Satan disguises himself as an angel of light, which is basically what we already knew was basically happening here. On to the 6th video, we have volume 2. We start off this volume with a wanted poster from the FBI for Adam Murray and Jonah Marshall. We learn that they are possibly associated with the Bythorn Paranormal Society, and that they are basically like the Ghostbusters, but they don't really have guns. So, a woman calls Adam and Jonah to ask to come to her house for 3 nights because she thinks a cat spirit roams the house or something. We learn from them taking the car on the way there that the TVs can no longer be used for obvious reasons. But fast forwarding a bit, we hear a scream and then the camera gets the error 333, which is a number that will be very important later. So, the intruder finds Adam and Adam sees a distorted face with a very familiar hoodie, huh? While this is on screen, we get the text, patients report multiple sleepless nights after the symptoms. It is not difficult to avoid, but the patient has to seek it out, which we will also be going back to in some time. But anyway, Adam is somehow alive after that, and he and Jonah have an argument, as Jonah wants to leave but Adam wants to stay and check out the locked door downstairs. Jonah leaves but Adam stays and checks it out, and Adam faces the intruder in a TV. The intruder first plays baby music, which after you see the whole thing is some pretty cool foreshadowing. And the intruder is perplexed that this motherfucker didn't die. The intruder then asks him, and Adam responds,
I did the right thing.
We then cut to Jonah driving back when he suddenly dies of the disorder that was mentioned earlier. At least that's what I think happens, cause it sure as hell looks like it. Not much happens in video number 7 to be honest, but all we know is that this video was taken by the cat lady from earlier. We can see that because when she shows the door, it's the same one Adam saw from outside. Oh, also this video is done on a computer in like 2009, so that's a time skip. The 8th video is also pretty disappointing to be honest, not having a lot to take from it. But there's this thing I think is a floating person, and also the Mandela Meerkats win the game, yay. The 9th video is the 3rd volume. Something to note is that the name of the video is not volume 3, but instead volume 333. So I guess it's time to talk about the meaning of that number, since now we have more context. So 333 is an angel number. There's one for every number and they all have different meanings. The number 333 is known as luck or change in your career, success, ambition or focus, which in Adam's case may mean luck, ambition or focus. I'm saying this is about Adam because as you will start to see, he will basically become one of the protagonists in this whole show. We start this video with a new character called Lynn comforting her baby. Sound familiar? She's on the phone with Jude. While they are on the phone through their divorce papers that show up on screen, we can tell 2 things. First is that they obviously got divorced, and secondly is that their last name is Murray. So with this, we know that the baby is Adam, and these are Adam's parents. Lynn asks Jude to come over because Adam is seeing things, but Jude says it's an imaginary friend, even though it's a fucking baby that probably doesn't even know what a spoon is. We then see what I assume is Adam watching TV until the number 333 shows up again, helping the point I made earlier. We cut to a live event on the TV where Lieutenant Thatcher Davis and Ruth Davis are getting promoted. We again cut to a phone call from a school receptionist talking about Mark Heathcliff, where they ask the police to check on Mark and his family since he hasn't been coming to school recently, and also his parents haven't been updating her on what's happening. Thatcher then goes to check on Mark. We then see Thatcher entering Mark's house, finding him dead on the floor, and we strangely see that Mark had a lot of lighters in his bed, which is never really explained. We switch again to the police station where Ruth wants Thatcher to stop working on Mark's case. We then see all of the evidence found in Mark's room. We see all of the objects Mark's fingerprints were found on, which are a doorknob, a cassette player, a notebook, a camcorder, and a gun. We then see the tape found in his room titled Shadow Under the Door, which is basically just the knocking on his door again. We then switch to the audio recording called Voices Outside My Room, which is a bit unsettling to say the least. We then see the notebook in which he wrote while trapped in his room, and it reads as follows.
God loves me unconditionally. Always remember that no matter the circumstances, God loves us all simply because He has chosen to do so. He loves me when no one else loves me. I am at peace. Today is a day that I need God's love more than anything. I am alone, and I need to feel the warmth of his love and reassurance. My lord, I am afraid. I beg your love and protection against evil. I have no chance anymore. The cops never came for me. No one came for me. Whoever is reading this, please stop it before it does this to anyone else. Who I've been praying to all this time. Who I've been praying to all this time. My eyes are wide open.
He's perfectly fine, guys, don't worry about him. We then get introduced to a new character yet again called Dave Lee. Dave Lee is the guy that sends Thatcher all of the video evidence that's found on the crime scene. I don't know if that means he fixed broken recordings or something, but that's what I think he does. We then see the sad video. The video opens up with a mask in despair. The title appears saying The Night of the Subconscious, and a person named Stanley appears asking Mark if he can hear him. Stanley is some kind of smiley face on a television, which is probably Mark's television. Stanley then says he can make friends appear out of thin air. He asks Mark what makes a good friend, and says to think hard about it. He then says that their new friend is somewhere in their house. Anyways, we then see a 911 call from Jude to Thatcher. He's asking for help. He's saying someone is in his house and is just staring at him in the corner. Thatcher asks if he looks like someone he knows, expecting it to be an alternate, but is then shocked when Jude says no. Thatcher then figures it's actually a normal home intruder and sends Ruth over. When he tries to get back to Jude, he doesn't respond anymore. Ruth then says that an officer checking out the place ran away, which is exactly what happened on the third video. So this confirms that the mother that died after her son disappearing is in fact Adam's mom. This leaves Adam as the only one alive from them. Ruth stops responding to Thatcher, so Thatcher goes there to check it out. We then see Thatcher and Ruth both investigating the house before they find the mother dead with the TV playing music. The intruder temporarily takes down the camera, and when it comes back, someone is mimicking Thatcher. Thatcher wants to go help Ruth, but is way too scared and runs away to the police station, leaving Ruth to die. The intruder then follows Thatcher into the police station, and when he shoots him, the text "Uh-oh, bad decision" Thatcher appears, just like the text "Uh-oh, bad decision" Mark that appears when Mark shoots himself in Volume 1. But like, come on bro, if shooting yourself is a bad decision, and shooting them is a bad decision, then what the fuck am I supposed to do? This isn't a fucking Telltale game. We then see the intruder smiling, which makes it look like he killed Thatcher, before we see this horrifying image I don't ever want to see in my fucking life again. We then go to the final video of the first act of the Mandela Catalogue, Every Day Gets Brighter. This video is an audio tape called Thoughts About the Ordeal. The one narrating this is Thatcher, confirming that he survived the attack. We see that Thatcher is now devastated everyone he knew is dead, before saying that the intruder took something from him, and he will do anything to kill him. So now, it is time for Act 2 of the Mandela Catalogue, which at the time of recording has only 2 videos, but one of them is 40 minutes long, so yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. The first video is called Interlude. It opens up showing the decline in population in Mandela County over the years, and by the 2000s, Mandela County has very little population left. We then see that someone named Sarah is giving Adam access to MCPD files. We switch to what seems to be a visualization of the alternate's evolution. It starts with flawed assimilation, then complete assimilation, and then overdriven assimilation. The photo used in overdriven assimilation is also the same one Adam saw. But since the photo in overdriven assimilation is the same thing Adam saw, I'd say it's safe to assume Adam is experiencing whatever overdriven assimilation is, and we'll get back to that in a second. Also, we get this text saying that the nun is a messenger for the devil. And then we have the final and longest video to date, Mandela Catalogue, Volume 4. We start with a video of how God created Earth. He created the perfect Earth, but the devil still managed to enter. We then see Adam and Eve, and after Adam eats an apple, Eve tries to look up at the sky, but he blocks her vision and looks down at her. And he kinda looks like Tobey Maguire. We then jump back to the present where we see Dave Lee talking to his friend O'Brien on the phone while he's working. A girl also working there stumbles across a cassette from Thatcher to Dave saying same old procedure. She then decides to watch it, which draws the attention of the intruder. We then see Sarah Heathcliff. Sarah has a paranormal group and is being wanted. Adam seems interested and decides to join her group, by Thorn Paranormal Society is then started by Adam and Sarah. We cut to Adam showing Sarah something he found. He tells Sarah to look at the hallway while he starts playing sounds of screams, which makes a bunch of hands come out of the doors in the hallway. We then see Adam's text messages and one of the contacts is Evelyn. Now if you pay attention, Adam and Evelyn are basically the same names as Adam and Eve. And Jonah from the earlier videos is a prophet in the Bible that tried to escape from the assignment given to him. The Jonah we see did basically the same thing if you think about it. We then see confirmation that the events we are seeing now happened right after Jonah's death and Adam's talk with the intruder. We see that Adam does not care about Jonah's death and only cares about the footage. Sarah is then mad at Adam and tells him to make a memorial for Jonah. Sarah then says that this is why Evelyn broke up with him. We then switch to Thatcher, which is in hiding. We learn that everyone thinks that Thatcher just died. And we then see some of the scariest shit I've ever seen in this show, which is visions of Ruth he has in his closet. We then learn that the girl that saw Dave's tape is actually Evelyn. We then switch back this time to Sarah's computer, and we see the memorial Adam made for Jonah. There are weird things happening to the video, such as drawings of overdriven Adam, and instead of a photo of Jonah, we see a fight Adam and Evelyn had. We then see this weird as fuck program called Face Studio, which is basically just a way for alternates to steal your information and face so they can, well, do alternate things, I suppose. We then get a brief shot of Evelyn arriving at the police station, and we see Thatcher and Dave talking on the phone. Dave says he's leaving Mandela County and says that Thatcher should also leave this all behind. But unfortunately, Dave is dumb as fuck and decides to go to a church, which is not confirmed, but I'm pretty sure makes the alternates manifest easier. And hey, guess what? It's the fucking devil. The devil then says that Dave was on the right path but still followed the shepherd, and that without knowing, he did the devil's work for him. This ends with the devil then killing Dave since he no longer is of any use. We then go back to the police station where Evelyn finds files on Adam. We learn that Adam did not react to the TV videos. After that, an alternate enters the police station and grabs Evelyn. We go back to Adam's computer and see what looks like spam messages trying to confirm if it's Adam. Before Adam can respond very politely, the screen glitches. We then finally see the intruder the most realistic has ever been instead of seeing him blurry or drawn. The intruder talks to Adam, asking him. When he says this, his face switches to Stanley for a brief moment. So I'm gonna do the lazy thing, and from now on, call the intruder Stanley. Stanley then says,
I cradled him in my arms, my sweet boy. I took him away.
Which to me makes it sound like he killed the original Adam. He then says,
When you stare into the mirror, you see the same monsters from your bedroom, don't you?
And then the image of overdriven Adam appears. Stanley then finishes saying,
Your skin is not your own. You're not the real you.
Before being cut off by Sarah calling Adam. This makes Stanley disappear slowly. We then get a callback from the first video seeing the sky with text saying, I deceived him, the Mandela prophet. And now the devil has Adam's records, prayers, and also, most importantly, his face. The video ends with the text, it begins today. And ladies and gentlemen, for now, that is the Mandela Catalogue. God damn, I loved watching this. In my opinion, I really like how they tackled the horror elements in this. It always keeps you uneasy with what's gonna happen next and never really resorted to any of the jump scares. Alex Kister has done an amazing job with the Mandela Catalogue, and you should definitely go check it out for yourself and give him your support. You can find a link to his channel in the description. So now that you're all caught up to the story, there's some theories I want to talk about. Now the first one isn't really a theory anymore, but more of an explanation. Now that we know Adam is an alternate, it explains a lot of things, but also gives us some more questions. Firstly, now we know why he didn't die once confronted with Stanley, and we know what Stanley meant when he said, "What have you done?" But Adam's response to it makes me question if he knows he's an alternate or not. He says he did the right thing, so he probably knows, and also before this, we can see the shot of the overdriven assimilation, so there's a very possible chance he knows what he's doing. So possibly Adam knows he's an alternate, but doesn't want people to know that. But being an alternate comes to an advantage for him since he basically has immunity. The second theory that I want to talk about is, what if Thatcher is also an alternate? Thatcher is also a very big part of the story, just like Adam. I mean, he literally was there when the original Adam was possibly taken. And that same night, he survived not one but two of Stanley's attacks. Maybe that's just luck, I guess, but it's a thought to keep until the next video's release at least. And finally, is Stanley some sort of fake Jesus Christ or Antichrist? In the first video, the religious cartoon, we see that the devil disguised himself as Gabriel, saying to Virgin Mary that Christ has been born. But seeing as it's the devil and not actually Gabriel, there's a chance that it's not actually Jesus, but some sort of son of the devil or something. That would explain why Stanley's so different from other alternates. Or hey, maybe it's just the first alternate. But that's basically all of the theories I have. I'm not really that good at making theories, so believe in what you will. These are just my thoughts. But with that said, I think we are done with the Mandela Catalogue for now. Finally, now I don't have to worry about remembering everyone's names like Adam, Jonah, Mark, Caesar, Thatcher, fucking
Bro, is this what you've been doing all this time? You really know all the Mandela Catalogue characters instead of spending your time making an actual video that isn't an update video promising that you're gonna make a video and then just procrastinate and play Dark Souls or something? Dude, I'm dead as fuck. Go get some bitches, dude. Oh my god.